if you plan on doing hard content such as Grandmaster Nightfalls or Master Lost Sectors and things like that, you need a build that can help you survive in order to complete the content. Although Titans don't have healing rifts like Warlock to activate on demand, but they do have plenty of things in their toolkit to tackle the hardest contents in the game. Today I'm going to show you a build that takes advantage of some of those Titan tools for hard contents like Grandmaster Nightfalls. My name is Weds and thanks for tuning into the channel. I really appreciate your being here. Anyway, the Titans build I'm about to show you will not only help you complete hard contents like Grandmaster Nightfalls, it will also help your teammates in a lot of ways such as health regeneration, etc, etc. Now let's take a look at the class tree, then we will go over the mods and weapons that we are using. First, let's start with the subclass. We are using the Sentinel Titan middle tree, Code of the Commander. In the class tree, I want to start with Controlled Demolition, which states, hit a target with the Void ability to attach a Void detonator. Further hits cause the detonator to explode, dealing damage to surrounding targets. This is one of the best and most satisfying things about this subclass tree. Watching multiple enemies explode in the domino effect is quite amazing. Now, you can apply the detonator with your grenade, melee, or your super. Therefore, after using any of these abilities, you should always target enemies that have been affected by the detonator. The next item is Resupply. It says you and your allies regain health as well as grenade and melee energy when your void detonators explode. This is one of the aspects of this build that will help you and your teammates to stay alive. Then we have Tactical Strike, which says strike an enemy with this melee ability and cause a void explosion. Now, whenever you have this available and if you have enemies that are affected by the detonator, it's a great idea to strike them and cause that big explosion, which will in turn gives you and your teammates some health regeneration. The last item on the tree is Banner Shield. Guard with Sentinel Shield to create a defensive wall. Allies who shoot through the wall have increased weapon damage, and guarding allies makes the shield last longer. This is something you can coordinate with your teammates to do massive damage to bosses and big beefy enemies like champions. Now, the most popular exotic for this class tree has always been Ursa Furiosa, but in this build we are not using Ursa, although you can if you so choose, but we are taking a different approach with a different exotic and you'll see why. Anyway, let's now take a look at our character stats and the mods. Now here we are. Now let's get a weapon out of the way. Now for weapon, it's going to be based on what you're doing and what kind of enemies you're dealing with, such as champions, etc, etc, and your team composition. You're going to talk it out with your team, that way you know who is bringing what. Now quickly, when it comes to stat, everybody knows that the recovery is one of the most important stats, but you need to take into consideration your resilience. Now, trying to get your resilience as high as you can. That way you can survive a lot longer. Now, in conjunction with some other mods, then you will be able to stay alive as long as you have a good amount of resilience when you're doing hard content in GM Nightfall. Now, let's look at our helmet. On our helmet, we have Elemental Ordnance, so we can take advantage of killing enemies with our grenade. It says defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an elemental well that matches your subclass energy type. Now, you know what it says on the bottom, so I'm not going to bother to read the whole thing. Basically, this is one of the mods that we are taking advantage to get some well in conjunction with the wells that we're going to be getting from our teammates. Now, the next mod I have here is Hands-On, gain bonus super energy on melee kills. Now, in GM Nightfall, it's not very often you're going to have melee kills, but at least this is a slot that you can't leave empty. Don't leave anything empty. That way you can take advantage of everything that is available to you. Now we're putting this on Linear Fusion Rifle Ammo Finder. That way if we're using a Linear Fusion Rifle, we can take advantage of trying to find some ammo for our heavy weapon. And also we're using the mods to get us some more recovery. The more the better, but it is what you have and whatever is available to you. Now for our gauntlets, we are using Taking Charge. and you're gonna use your anti-barrier or overload, whatever is available to you or whatever your team needs, because you're gonna have to deal with champion. Now, I talked about resilience before. Make sure you have as much resilience as possible. That way you can survive a lot longer. Now, this is the exotic that we choose to use for this build. That's why we're not using SR Furiosa, because our goal is to stay alive. So that's why we're using this. Now, the trait for this exotic says Survival Well, generates an additional orb of power from supers and a healing pulse when barricade is activated. This means anytime you are in trouble, pull up your barricades and you'll get a burst of health regeneration to keep you alive. That's why this exotic is being used in this build, because we're trying to stay alive and complete the content. Now, the mods we are using for this exotic are Seeking Wells. Elemental wells you create will move across the ground towards nearby players. You are one of the players, the wells that you create will come towards you, and they also go towards your teammates. This is why we're using those. We're trying to stay alive, because when I show you in the beginning of the video, you can see the wells, they come towards you, and then you can use them for their benefit. Our next mod is Concussive Dampener. This one says reduce incoming area of effect damage from combatants. Now, those are some of the better damage resistance in the game. So if you are playing Grandmaster Nightfall, make sure you use those, because they will keep you alive. You get about 15% damage resistance every time you use those. And so if you add 2, that's about 30% damage resistance. Now, compared to resilience mod, if you get 100% resilience, you only get about 13% damage resistance. So in conjunction with those, so you are very good. Now, for our leg armor, we are using Protective Light. This is not a new mod. This is one of the best mods in the game to keep you alive when you're playing hard contents like GM Nightfall. It says while charged with light, you gain significant damage resistance against combatants when your shields are destroyed. This effect consumes all stacks of charged with light. The more stacks consumed, the longer the damage resistance lasts. You need those. If you're gonna play any hard content in the game, make sure you have those on, because they will keep you alive. Now, the next mod we are using is Better Already. Your health begins to regenerate immediately after picking up an orb of power. Pick up those orbs, you will stay alive. And our next one is Insulation. Reduces class ability cooldown each time you pick up an orb of power. Again, pick up those orbs. And then we're using some recovery mods, because recovery is very important. Now, on our class armor, we are using the Bountiful Wells. The reason why we're using those, because it's a very good mod to create more wells. So it doubles the wells that you create. That means you can have more well for your advantage. The next mod is Particle Deconstruction. That's part of a seasonal mod. So use this for extra damage to bosses. It'll make life a lot easier for you and your teammate. Only one person needs to use those in a team. That way you can take advantage of it. That way other people can use other mods to take advantage of your team. Now, we're also using some discipline mods, but it's whatever is necessary for your build. That is all for the build. We are taking advantage of plenty of mods to keep us alive. That way we can survive Grandmaster Nightfall or any other hard contents in the game. Use those mods if you have them in conjunction with this exotic as a Titan, then you will be good to go. Now, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this helps. I will see you guys later.